Welcome, everybody, so far.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing on this Friday?
Can you tell I have two screens going?
So do I. I have one up and down, so I'm doing the same thing. Give everybody a couple more minutes to make sure. It is Friday, so maybe people are enjoying their weekend already, but in real estate, there's no real weekend, right? So. Well, while we're waiting, where's everybody from? So I'm from New Hampshire, so my office sits right by Lake Winnipesaukee, right out behind me on the other side of the wall. So where's everybody from?
Salem, New Hampshire.
Mass.
Plymouth.
God, I saw that. Maine. Okay. Well, I am the only instructor today. So as far as if there's things, I'm going to try to monitor the chat a little bit. But if there is any questions, concern, anything that come up during this, just feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt, please. So just really want to first start out too by finding out if there's any ahas from like the last session you guys had, or anything that you feel that you've learned that you probably didn't know before, that's really helping you guys, that you're implementing into growing your business. Anybody?
Just that I have to track more.
Okay. Now, how long have people, as far as real estate, like how many people are less than a year in the business? Raise your hand. Okay. I'm going to raise my hand too. Well, no, I'm a year into my role. I probably about 4 months as being an agent. So how many are 2 years into real estate? 3 years? Nice. 4 years? 5 years? John, I'm waiting for your hand to go up over there too.
You got a while to wait, Mark. Keep going. 1973.
Nice. So I've read this book a couple times. Organization model is my favorite because up here in the Lakes region, I do have a lot of teams from different sizes, from 2 people, just 2 rainmakers with no team, up to where John sits over in Wolfboro, Adam Dow, who has 26 people on his team. So I see it all. And basically every team's run differently. So basically what we're going to try and do is talk about, again, as they all talk about, is it doesn't make a difference whether it's single agent, level 1 all the way up to level 7. It doesn't, there's no difference. It's just what you want to do and how you want to grow your business. So what we're going to talk about today is the organization model. So let's jump into this. This is the most popular, I guess, model that people like to talk about, because everybody sees teams being so great and, oh my God, look at these teams, they're doing all these great things. But what I've seen and what I've heard from, because again, I talk to a lot of people. We have 745 agents in Keller Williams, Coastal Lakes and Mountains. So I have 170 up in the lakes. And then there's probably about 400 down in the Portsmouth. And then we spread out a little bit. is everybody thinks the bigger the team, the better, right? Big teams, big numbers, agent counts, and everything looks great on the outside. But at the end of the year, when they look at their bank accounts, they have no money to show for it. And it's just because of the other models we talk about, people for, making sure you have your budget model all planned. So basically, like we talk about now is, a lot of them are broke, right? They don't have all that effort, all that time. Somebody put a lot of headaches, all that. And what do you actually get from it? So, none of us got in the business to pay a lot of people to not pay ourselves. So basically, we're going to talk about whether you're just trying to grow a little bit or you're planning on long-term to grow a lot. The bigger model, if you do correctly, you shouldn't have headaches, right? And unfortunately, what a lot of teams we see doing is they don't follow the model. So that's why they have headaches. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, all of us, I think we all got in the business to change my life as well as other people's lives. So what we're going to learn today is how to change lives, but do it in a more profitable way.
What's the difference between a group and a team?
So we have, so a group is a group of people. So I guess it's a tricky question. So I have a couple groups up here. So basically I consider what a group is there's no rainmaker. So I have up over in Hanover they're called the Upper Valley Group. And there's 3 individual agents. They all have their full cap, but basically they bring, and as well as I have over here in Meredith, the Water's Edge. Basically, there's no splits, there's no caps. They all have their full cap there. They brand one name. So they up in Hanover, they call themselves the Upper Valley Group. Actually, I have the Back Mountain Group over in Enfield. And then over here, I have Water's Edge. So basically, they share a marketing budget. However, they internally figure that out. And they brand that. They have usually a joint website that they get leads and split it between them. But as far as the market center is concerned, they're not a team. They're just a team on paper for themselves. A group,
Thank
a lot of times.
Thank
A
you.
lot of times.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. A lot of times too is what they like Jason Abrams will call as a group is supposedly a team, but it's really just a glob, right? It's one credit card. You have a bunch of people running around marketing and there's no structure. So that's why I said it was a trick question. The real term of a group is there's no splits. There's no real team, but they function well as it, because if you have 4 or 5 people that have this one brand, everybody is out there branding. So you get a little bit more bang for your buck. So the first question that you all probably have too is like when do I start adding people, right? Like I'm an individual agent, I'm out there, I'm busy, but when do I start adding people? And basically what they say is when you're doing all you can do. When you're at full tilt and you don't seem like you're getting anywhere, you might be hitting 2 years at your max, you're not growing. That's when we start taking a look back, right? So some people say it's 36 transactions. Some people say it's 10 transactions. But referring to the budget model, what Gary will tell us is the first thing you want to look at is you plug in that salary. If you're looking to add, when you go and add your admin, are you still making the amount of money that you want? Are you still following in the ratio of the 30, 30, 40, right? So 30% expenses, because once you add your admin is a fixed salary. And they are an expense, because no matter what you do, whether you sell a house or not, they are a fixed expense. So that is when that number is where you stay within that 30, 30, 40 split, that's when you add. And if you're not at there yet, then you'll know is, okay, I need to sell one more house and stay at that consistent level. So what is our first position we add? So if we turn to page 196, and then basically I'll read from right from near the top. The organization model of the real estate identifies a division of labor and assessment of responsibility among your current and future staff. So what we're looking at is when we start talking about this is we're putting together a model that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not, we're going to flick a switch and all of a sudden we're at level 17, right? What we're going to do is we're looking at now, but we're building a roadmap to our future. So basically we're looking at where we want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but every hire that we do, it's a long-term thought, right? We're not thinking about what will help us today. We're hiring people that we see that will be long-term for the future, that will help us continue to grow. So basically, next down is for a real estate sales business, there are 3 types of staffing, right? So the first one that we all talk about is we need administrative, because as salespeople, I don't sell. I'm a team leader up here in New Hampshire, so I don't sell. But I know when I was in sales prior to this job, one thing I was not good at was paperwork, right? I was good at selling, and that's what I like to spend my time. Just like for you guys, your salespeople are salespeople, right? So if we hire the first position as an administrative, we take the duties that don't actually pay our bills, and have somebody else do that. And we then spend our time making the money that will help pay for that position. So the administrative positions would be marketing, administrative manager, transaction coordinator, listing manager, telemarketer, lead coordinator. So admins play a huge role in your business, and that's going to be your first hire. So what I always tell people too is as you get to be an individual agent and you start getting overwhelmed, maybe it's not a full-time position, right? Maybe it is a part-time admin that puts in 20 hours a week. Maybe it's just hiring a transaction coordinator to handle that, right? And they're not really a real quote unquote admin, but it's a step right, because that's the paperwork that none of us like to do. Or it is a full-time admin that you then teach the roles on how to do the different tasks, including transaction. You teach them to do marketing. You teach them to do all that kind of stuff. So that being said, admin is your first one. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is most people miss that step, right? They jump into and they say, oh my gosh, I'm busy. I'm going to bring on a buyer's agent, right? So we all know salespeople. And I'm telling you, I'm one of them, and I've been it for years. How good are we at following models, getting systems down, staying within the guardrails that we're supposed to, right? So basically, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So the first goal would be to hire the admin. You're gonna work with them to set the boundaries. You're gonna make a list of all these tasks that you do, right, on a daily basis. Figure out what you could give to an admin and what you keep to keep productive, right? And I tell this, and I tell my friends and that are plumbers, that are electricians, right? So I'll use that for an example, because there's an hourly wage. So you got to say a master electrician bills out maybe $125, $150 an hour, right? So what good does it do them spending 10 hours a week doing paperwork? So if we do that math, right, there's $1,000. When you can hire a part-time admin that could do your billings, return your phone calls, which we all know contractors aren't super good at, right? You could hire somebody for $25 an hour. They work 10 hours a week. They work 20 hours a week. There's $500. So that being said, 20 hours they work, 5 hours to pay for that position, right? So then anything extra you work, you're building. Just like for you guys, you find somebody, admins are usually good at doing the paperwork, doing the minutia of that stuff. If you teach them how to do that stuff and you then spend that time to lead generate, which then in turns to business, that makes you guys more profitable and pays for that position. Does that make sense to everybody? So the next position we would look at would be the buyer, right? So again, when we're looking long-term, when you're looking to hire a buyer's agent or a buyer's assistant, maybe it starts out as a showing agent, right? So then that way somebody kind of gets into minutia. So you pay them to help show, right? So maybe they're a brand new agent that you're trying to wheel in, or maybe there's somebody that you've worked with before within your branch and say, hey, you know what? Maybe they're going to be they're a really good agent, but they're still struggling after a year. They have real great intentions. But the goal is when we're hiring these people, we're not doing a short-term thinking like after we have our admin, we're now thinking we have enough leads that I'm even with having an admin, I am still busy with all my listings. I'm going to move over to a buyer. And then the last would be selling, because again, if we look at any of the models, the 30, 30, 30, the way we keep our profit as agents is taking listings still, right? Because that's the most expensive thing. So the minute we start giving up our listings is when we start having to figure out ways to generate more money, right? It means that we have to sell more. So that will be the least piece that the last part of the piece that we will add to our model. So if we go down right after this, administrative help on page 196 is at the heart of the organization model of the millionaire real estate agent. Only after a solid administrative staff is in place, we begin to think about hiring buyer and seller help, right? Again, only after a solid administrator is in place. So I keep stressing that because it's going to come back, because, you know, I see teams all over, like, right, whether it's here, we at one point had a big team that all of a sudden went from 20 agents. I think they have 3, right? We have agents that will literally go on a team after a year. We all think they're having success, and then they drop out and they either leave our market center or not. Why? Because basically we forget the admin. You have a bunch of people running around, everyone's successful. They have their ups and downs. They're bringing in business, but nobody's really figuring out all the stuff, like where leads are really going, how we're closing leads, how I'm doing paperwork, who's doing paperwork. You know, so basically you have a bunch of hunter gatherers running around, but nobody's cleaning up the mess, right? Without that, and then basically we have people leaving. So we stress, and I stress up here to anybody, is the least thing you can start doing is a TC. At that point, then you can work on it, but you need somebody to fill in the gaps of getting that paperwork done and behind you, right? So if we turn to page 197, you see the 7th level, and it talks about it. So, you know, it all goes to is at one point before, it used to be on the right-hand side was the buyers, and on the left-hand side was leads. Now it's kind of changed a little bit. So this is the new model here. So basically we have on the right side, we have actually, this is the old model. There's a new one in a different book. This is the old way, right? The leads on the left, buyers on the right. So this is the 7th level where we actually have a CEO running the company, and it probably is the agent. They're still involved. They haven't got out of the business, because ultimately it's your business, right? When you step out of the business and you just leave other people to do it, it's going to fail 9 times out of 10. So you stay in the business, but now you have all these different positions to strive for. And that's what we're thinking. So as Jason Abrams says in all the videos I watch of him to learn and make myself smarter, is take this model, pin it up, right? So as you're thinking big, as you're starting to grow, as you become busy, this is what you are looking to grow, right? You are looking to, I'm at Starbucks, I'm in the market center, I see this person that's struggling agent, but they're really good at their paperwork, right? Even if you don't have that person right now or the spot for these people to grow into your business, the best thing to do is keep your eyes open, right? Because keeping your eyes open, we're business people, and we are always looking to fill these positions that might come one day. So one thing to do is, as well as you start doing, how many people are thinking of one day, or how many people are rainmakers or on a team? Anybody that's involved with the team already? Raise your hand. Okay. Anybody with plans in the near future to start thinking of, they're busy enough with listings, leads, that are thinking of growing to a team? Nobody? Okay. So if nobody is, could you tell me why? Is
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes, I am.
So again, as you start thinking about it, career visioning, definitely look that up. It basically talks about how to build a team and how to look at people. So career visioning is a nice tool. It's a class that you can take, and it talks about how to hire an admin and all the right characteristics to look at. Because again, I used to build sales teams on my prior job, and that's the biggest thing is you're talking to salespeople, right? So you guys will relate. So if somebody comes in that's salesy, we're going to connect with them. Oh yeah, this is going to be a great person. Unfortunately, they're in sales. They're not going to help you fill that the need you have. But if you're not looking to build a team yet, the key is having this list here of what you want to grow to always takes a look, because who knows, this year you could grow your business enough that, hey, you know what? I think it's about time to add admin, because just adding an admin now makes you an individual team, right? It puts you to that spot that you're in a team now. And basically, depending on your production levels, as you start growing, you have one admin. If you get busy enough and you need something, your next hire, even before you look at a buyer's assistant, could be a second admin. Why? Because the first one becomes your head lead admin, and the next one becomes maybe your TC coordinator, maybe does more marketing and works with leads. And the nice thing is when you build this model, as you see here on page 197, the admin, if you notice, look how all these people report to that main admin person. That's key, right? So if you want to leverage your time, you want to make sure you have somebody that reports, that's able to report to. They follow in a line so that you only have one person that's reporting to you on the admin side. As you grow on the buyer side, you're going to have a lead buyer, and on the listing side, you're going to have a lead listing agent, right? So no matter how big you grow, like the team of 26 I have here, they basically have one person in each of these lines, and 3 people report to the CEO of the company. So a lot easier when we say managing 26 people and it's a headache. Each person falls within the buckets that we do. So, and the nice thing is, like I told you about, as you're always looking out, is, as the book states on page 197, by encouraging the relation, many agents come to is there are 3 exceptional hires away from a business millionaire being a millionaire. Why? Because if you find that lead admin that can help your life become easier, right? Then as you grow that position, then you find your lead buyer, right? That as you grow, somebody reports to you, and then you find your listing. So the 3 hires are those 3 people in that tier. It's not simple to do, but if you start looking out for that, and at some point in time, you want to grow your business, that is what you're always constantly looking for. So as we see, and I see Jason on the call here. So he's the managing broker up here in Meredith. He's been in for 15 years, and he'll tell you the thing that what causes most teams to fail, or agents to fail, is hiring the buyer's agent first, right? Because what happens then? You don't have the support. You really possibly don't have enough leads to provide that person to. So you're both scrambling around trying to figure things out, right? So as you start growing with your admin, then it's time to hire your seller's agent, right? So whether you start with a showing agent or you start with a buyer's agent, basically you start looking to add to free up your time. Why? Because for you, it's easy to, if you take a listing, right? You go to one place, 123 Main Street, you meet all kinds of agents there, you show it. You, as we all know, buyers, how many times do you take buyers on 5 properties, right? 10 properties, 20 properties. We're going out Saturday to look at 20 properties, right? So that, once you get to that level, hiring a buyer's agent frees your time up to allow you to spend the time nurturing leads and listings, and give your buyer's agent the ability to run around town and meet with clients. How you grow that side too is as you become busier, you take the agent, you start adding more buyer's agents because the leads are coming in. You have 25 listings. You're sending your buyer's agents to help you with the listings at the open houses. They're getting leads from that. Basically, at some point in time, you will then assign, as the model shows, a lead buyer. That lead buyer will be like a manager, right? So they're going to help you with any questions. They're going to take all the questions from all the other buyers agents. They're going to help to facilitate how leads come in, how answering all kinds of questions to keep you free to be able to keep going and getting listings. Because as we know, listings is leverage. Next step, as you get that, before you decide you're even going to bring somebody on the listing side, you're going to start looking at more admin. If we go back to page 197, right? We now have, okay, so we have buyers and we've got a couple buyers agents. So now you can start under the admin is lead coordinator, right? So as leads come in, they send it off to here. Telemarketer, you have listing managers, transaction coordinators, assistants, a runner, somebody to run escrow checks, somebody to hang signs, right? All that kind of stuff is prior to the last thing you're going to give up would be listings. So as part of the admin, like I said, the lead coordinator is huge when it comes to that, because as you start getting leads coming in, whether you buy them, as we use Command, you get Facebook leads, you get things from events that you run. So I attended 7 levels of communication yesterday, and they talk about parties and getting leads. As you get leads coming in from that, you want a way to filter them, get them in Command, but B, understand A, where they came from, B, who they're going to, more productive agents, and C, at the end, report back, like whether you've bought the leads, whether it comes from an event, whether they're a sphere of influence. You want to know and be able to tag those. So at the end of the year, you're looking at, this is where my most bang for my buck is. This is where I'm getting my leads, because if we're spending money at Zillow or one of those other places to get leads, and yet nobody and our team's closing on them, does it do us any good to keep going when 90% of our leads are coming from sphere of influence and some sort of social event that we've done, right? So that's why at the end of the year, when you go to look at that stuff, this is where you want to have all your leads tracked on what you're doing. So the last piece of business that you, like the last thing the last side that you ever want to get up is the seller side, right? Like I said, when you're following the 30-30-40 model, right? You're going to want to make sure that you keep as much of your expenses and your cost of sale down. So those two pieces, the cost of sale and expenses, should not be more than 60% of your business, whether you're a single agent or you're a level 7 team. And how you do that is to hold on to the listings as much as possible. That is where that's most expense comes. When you're in a buyer, when you have a listing, you have pictures, right? You have marketing, you have open houses and food and all that kind of stuff going on. So when you have listings, that becomes a more expensive venture. So your price of that actually goes up. So the first hire on the selling side, a lot of times is what's called the lead listing specialist or a listing specialist, right? A lot of times that person now becomes a salaried employee, and then they basically get a commission based on how many properties on something. So they may have a base salary and then they get 10% of that sale, right? So it still keeps it within the expenses down on it. And it's based on the more they do, the better, they have that base salary. When you find that person too, at some point in time, as I see some of that big team, you can actually have a lead specialist, then you can have a head lead specialist. So basically they report to one person and then that one person reports to you. Any questions on kind of how you want to grow the business? I know most people said they weren't, but any questions on that? Has anybody thought now, it's probably not as bad as everybody thinks if I do it the right way? Anybody's mind changed that they may want to grow a team at one point? Because again, we're not thinking small, we're trying to think big. Nobody? Okay.
The most I
So-
want is an admin, that's it.
Yep, and that's fine, and that's the best thing. My sister sells on the seacoast. She sold 63 properties last year, and she has a part-time admin and a TC coordinator. She's considered a team, an individual team, and that allows her the freedom to keep going, getting listings, right? So a lot of times she'll have open houses and she'll bring in some newer agents to help out that aren't part of her team and give help with leads on that aspect. But that's as big as she wants to grow. She likes it. She's happy with that. And it's all good, right? So it's whatever you choose level to be. It's just doing it, whatever level you see yourself is doing it the right way. And the key is if you hire just an admin, like you said, right? The nice thing is all of a sudden, if it becomes easier and you say, oh my gosh, this is awesome, right? 10 years later, if you set up the model the right way in the beginning, it's easy to add somebody, right? If you do it wrong in the first place, it's so hard. It's like you're restarting again. And what happens to a lot of people, that mistake causes them to choose not to make a team, right? And they get frustrated and things of that sort. And the team member gets frustrated. So basically, if we turn to page 200, and it kind of gives some different job descriptions. So this is good for, like I said, when it comes to when we talk about the different things, as far as the whether you want to, grow anything or whatever. When it comes to admin, you have, lead generation. They can help out with communication, right? Financial systems. Again, overseeing the staff. So when you are making this first hire, it's really important. But if this person can do all these things for you, and start looking, like helping you with your P&L, right? Helping you to put the expenses. Okay, here we go. This happened, right? Do all the transaction coordination so you're not doing it. That person, as you grow, that person's there. But if you hire somebody that might just do the job and do an okay job, you're doing yourself a disservice because you spend more time fixing, you spend more time coaching, and you spend more time on that admin person, helping them do a better job, that sometimes it's just better off doing it yourself. And that frustration happens as well. So, years ago, they created a whole big list of, and it's in the book, like 170 tasks related to doing business, right? So, and it's just crazy, like how detailed it is. And I always use the analogy, some people automatically come in, I want to get a team and all that. No, go into business for a couple of years, right? It's like if you bought a store, and I'm going to use that for a general store, right? You buy the store and all of a sudden the first thing you do is that, I don't really feel like working. I'm going to hire somebody to be a cashier or to close the store, right? Well, if you have not spent a year learning how to do the business, right, as a store, what times are busy, right? How I open up the cash drawer in the morning, how I close at night, how I turn off all the lights, how I make sure all that stuff. If you don't have a detailed list for that person that you're looking to hire before you hire them, you're trying to figure things out on the fly. So I tell people, as you start doing business as an agent and you start to look, and I told you the list of things you do and that you can eventually give up, start at some point in time writing some of the things you do down, and keep a journal, right? So at one point when you get busy, you're not backtracking, because you want to see as you go on, like all the different tasks that you do, because some point, like I said, we are going to become busy enough that we might do something. And if we have all these notes down, it makes it easier to justify that, right? Like, oh my gosh, I literally spend all this time doing this stuff, and instead of doing this other stuff, because if we're not lead generating, how do we keep growing our business, right? So does that make sense about the store analogy? I always get that. Again, it's just because some people will go and get a store and they'll put somebody in there, and how do you tell the cashier how to do this stuff if you've never done it yourself, right? Do it yourself, do your paperwork yourself, then be able to show somebody how you do it your way, because my way might be different than somebody else's way, right? How you like it done. And then you start blocking it. I saw when I was down in Connecticut, probably about in February, they did some regional awards, and there was an agent who has a team of 3, and she had trouble, like an admin. She's like, she hired other people and didn't really hire the right admin and struggled. And so she went through a couple people, and she came to tell everybody in the group, and it was a group of, I guess it was Diamond Group. So you had to do at least 25 million in business. Was I never wrote down the important things that will make my life easier, right? Like if this person did that, I just kind of told them. So she now, 2 years after she sat down and had that aha moment, she's been in business for 10 years. She started shooting videos of things on how she did something, right? So if somebody left, the person that she hired shot a video, and this is how you enter something into command. This is how you do an escrow, release an escrow, things of that sort, right? Wrote everything down, had everything. So when the next person came in, here you go, right? Here's your book. So that person's not asking every question. If you need this, boom, it's right here on page 1. If you need this, and it's a note for yourself, right? Whether it's an open house, right? My sister, and I always use her for example, because she's infamous around here for her open houses, and she teaches classes up here on open houses. She has a detailed checklist down to how many balloons, how many open houses signs, depending on the property, where it's going to be advertised, what I'm going to do, why. And I tell it the group downstairs, the Xavier group up here, we had a conversation, and I said, Rachel, you want it in your brand, the Xavier group, so that somebody walks to the front door, everything is set up so that nobody knows which one of your four agents are doing the open house, right? It doesn't make a difference. It should be that same experience. So for you guys, as you start doing these things, make a checklist, right? So that you don't forget. You want this, this, and this, down to, okay, I want 5 open houses signs all pointing this way, right? I want 4 balloons on the outside. I want it advertised on Facebook this day, and this day prior to that. I'm always going to, no matter what, let everybody know on Wednesday, the property's coming on Friday, and open houses are Saturday and Sunday, right? Get into a routine like that, so that as you add people or don't add people, you may have to all of a sudden say, hey, by the way, I'm busy this weekend. Jenny Dowling, can you please do this open house for me, right? Or for our Facebook page, you see people, hey, I'm going to be out of town, or I have something else that came up. Is there an agent willing to do open house? Now, if you have that checklist, nobody would know whether it's Mark doing the open house or Jenny doing the open house, right? It should be the same. All it is whoever walks around the corner to greet people, that's definitely not Mark. So, but that's what you guys want to start doing. So anything that you do, and it always helps, right? Organize your stuff, because I always look at it as, if we think we're going to stay a single agent for the next 20 years, that's okay. But if we have our systems and models down, it allows us to have that ability to grow. So when at a drop of a dime, we can change, right? We can shift gears, because I can tell you the biggest thing, some of these agents that do 25 million a year, 30 million a year, they don't even want to ever use a TC, because they don't know what they do, right? They think, oh my gosh, I have to spend so much time teaching this person my way. It's not worth my time. But if you have how you do things and how you like things done, you can go to the TC person, you're interviewing them. So Laura, hey, here's my list. This is how I like it done. Can you do this for me, right? If Laura says yes, she's hired. Laura says, well, that's not the way I do things. Okay, well, are you going to do things my way? Because if you're not, I will move on, because there's many other TCs out there. So it's just helping yourself. It's helping yourself so you don't have to think. I came in a year ago, no real estate experience, sales experience. Walk in, I have agents like Adam Dow, who's above my office. His group netted $1 million last year, right? Here's me, no real estate. Hey, Adam, how's things going, right? So can you tell me about how you run your business? And we sat down, we had a 4-hour conversation one day about his structure, how he's organized and all that. And I just looked at him, I go, that just went over my head, right? And we started laughing about it, but he has it down, and he'll tell you he's done it wrong. He did it wrong 3 or 4 times. Our OP, Nate Dickey, said, you're doing it wrong. Adam, you're doing it wrong. Adam, you're doing it wrong. Guess what? Adam figured it out, and now he does it right. But he'll tell you it took stumbling, right? He failed. So what we're doing and trying to teach us to you is get it right. Try to get it right the first time, because your admin is the most important part. And just like TCs, right? You'll probably get advertisements all the time. Oh my God, here's a great TC. Well, John knows right above him in the Wolfboro office is we have for our Keller Williams office, we have an internal person that people can use. Jason Hool. You know, the nice thing about Jason is he used to be, and he still helps out. He's the compliance manager for Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains. How cool is that? He knows all the rules for New Hampshire, Maine. He knows how command works, right? He knows how to look at contracts. So he's got experience. So if I said, hey, somebody asked me, who would you use? Jason, right? Now he may not be the person for you though, right? Because I look at him, I look at it as I'm black and white, right? I'm type A, he's perfect. He's got all that, but we may not jive, right? So there's another person out there. So when you even interview, like I said, your first step might be TC, because I think they're anywhere from 250 to 350 per transaction, right? Contract to close. Sounds like a lot of money, but if it frees up a lot of your time and aggravation, it might be worth it. Interview 3 or 4 people, right? Make sure they're the fit, because that person is going to be the integral part to make your business run. Just like if you're, and I say, some people just say, oh, look, everybody uses them. Well, guess what? Everybody's not you, right? And you want to make sure you're doing things that fit you. Just like part of my job is recruiting. Just because somebody does $50 million a year in sales, do you think I'm going to take them on my team? If they're not a fit, if they're not part of the culture up here, they're not coming in. I don't even bother. After one conversation, they may say, well, you know, I don't know if Keller Williams is right for me. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to argue, right? Because if that's their thought coming in, do you think they're going to buy into what we do and how we do things? No. Just like that's why I said, here's your checklist to the TC. Is this something that you can handle? I got to say 75% of them will say yes. 50% of them will probably do it, but it's a good thing, right? It's at least if you know what you want, it's easier to have that together. So let's see. If we turn to page 202 on the figure 44. So this is the complete list of what all the different levels look like. So like I told you, level 1 is you and you, right? Gary says, if you don't have somebody mow your lawn, guess who's mowing your lawn? You. You don't have somebody to clean your house, you're cleaning your house, right? So when you are at level 1, it's you. You are doing the sales and marketing, and you are doing the admin and processing. Doesn't make anything bad, right? You want to make sure you can afford the person once you add them, but that's when you get to level 2, you hire a first assistant. You get to level 3, you're hiring probably 2 assistants. So 1 assistant doing the marketing and helping you, like, you know, and the next person is doing the TC work, and it could be an external TC, right? It doesn't have to be somebody that's on your team, but the nice thing is you want to make sure that TC, whoever you hire, reports to your admin, right? Too often you have that TC still reaching out to
You're
you guys.
welcome.
What have you leveraged yourself, right? If you have to answer every single call from the TC, you haven't helped yourself. But if you've made that admin enough that they can answer most of the questions, it makes your life better, right? And then you
Okay.
just keep going on, right? Or you bring
Okay.
on
But it looks like they're, working hard on getting everything done. That's,
Yeah.
day issue. So, just wanted you to know about that. And then the closing attorney reached out to me and asked,
Sorry, I had to mute. I didn't realize I could do that, Power. You know, you want to add on buyers. So before you get to the listings, you want to add as many buyers as you want, right? One thing we always talk about too is you don't want to bring on too many buyers agents, right? Because if you do, and you don't have the leads for them, do you think they're going to stay? So what you want to do is you want to bring on one. Once that person becomes busy, you bring on the second one. Well, the hopes is that first one now has done, and you've modeled everything that you want to that first buyer's agent. You can say, hey, now, Mark, now you report up to Laura, right? So Laura is going to make sure that, that everything happens. And then Laura reports to John. John's the rainmaker, and you kind of go here as you keep adding people. But the key is, as you add people, same thing, you have to have how you want these people to interact, right? Because some of the times we're afraid to say, well, my buyers only want to work with me. That's great. But I guarantee if you teach your buyers to be you, but without being you, because you have systems, right? This is how we're going to greet people. This is how we take people. These are the questions that we ask, right? Because part of this is, it's so funny yesterday at that class, right? So you have, Mike Michael, and he's just like, yeah, you know what? People say I'm lucky when I work with buyers. I only take them to one house. And I'm like, how well? He goes, you want to know how I do it? They tell me they want this, right? They want these 3 properties because, well, he started out saying, okay, you tell me your ideal house. And he's sitting there in the MLS, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, this size lot, blah, 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 right? 0. Okay, what do you want less? Take down a bathroom, right? Go through all that stuff. Gets to it, finally says, oh, look, we have 3 houses because their ideal dream house, it's not there, right? Unless you build it, we're not having a dream house. So it goes down to 3. And then he's like, okay, let's Google Earth these things, right? Just, I really didn't know much about Google Earth, but he talked about it. So you can go in and say, oh, look, this abuts electrical wires right behind. Oh, look, there's a manufacturing plant. Look, this is the ideal house, right? This is the best we have in that. Do you want to see this house? And you kind of talk about it, because before we just say yes and take buyers to 5 houses, let's have this consultation with them and saying, yes, you like this house, but let's look at the big picture, right? But these are things that he's taught his team to do, because he's flying around the country teaching people the 7 levels of communication, and they're back home doing it just like he's there. And he said, it wasn't overnight, but I worked with these buyer agents first to be me without being me. And we all laughed. He goes, I know that's very, very wordy, but that's what I want. They're all going to have their own personality, but if I teach them a system, that's what we're going to have. So this is where that as another thing is, if you wanted to print this out and you think down the road that you might want to grow a team, print this out. These are goals, right? There's a dream board. You know what? I want to one day be level 4. Okay, that's it. You don't have to be level 7. I can tell you, out of 745 agents, I think we have maybe 2 level 7s, but I think only 1. We have a lot of 6s and 5s and 4s. And I can tell you right now, there was one team there was 4 people, and they were probably a level 4. But they did over, they grossed over a million, right? So, but the big size doesn't make a difference. It's following in with, like I told you, the amount of business you have it's the red light, green light that you guys talk about earlier, right? Getting that. Okay, now I'm busy enough. Does it fit? Does it fit? Does it fit? Yes. Add, right? No, it doesn't fit. I need to do this. Okay. In your head, you do that. So let's not just add people to add people, but honestly, if you're overwhelmed, you'll realize when you get that first TC work, I told you, agent doing 35 million, doing everything herself, everything. She comes in, bags under eyes. Yeah, I was up till 1 o'clock turning in stuff a week later than she should. And I'm like, what's going on? She goes, I just don't have time. Have you heard of Fulcrum? Have you heard of a TC? Well, they don't do it my way. So we sat down and rewrote how she likes it done. And then I said, well, let's make it a little fancier, dress it up. And I sat with her and we had an interview with a TC coordinator, right? I learned, so that's why I sat with her. And we figured out, that's why I said, that first person that we interviewed was not going to do it her way. This is the way we do it. Okay. It probably fits for 75% of the agents. She was very particular. So, and then basically as we move along, so again, we talk about it is the next thing that we're going to talk about is like on page 203 is recruiting sources. And I know we have all talked about, we may not want to do things, but I still laugh is, again, this book was written a long time, like ads, which we know they're talking about newspaper ads, like, hey, I'm looking for an admin, right? But now we took that to like job websites, right? So as time grows, you can start looking to promote yourself there. Like I said, the biggest way to ask for admin help as you start needing it is ask fellow agents, who do you use, right? Or reach out to your MCA, your PC in your offices, because they have a huge connection with all the agents. Like, oh yeah, I'm looking to add an admin. Do you know of any? Because I know there's been a lot of agents that have decided that they would rather do the admin work after doing it, or they may be, because you're on a team, you allow the admin to work 20 hours for you, but still be part of helping you with showings, right? Helping you with open houses, and have that position to either then stay as admin or go to a buyer's assistant, right? And then because that position has been established, they've written down everything. Now you can bring in a real admin because now you have the ability to do that, right? Talk about like temporary employment agencies too, right? So if you're not sure if you really can afford somebody, you can do part-time, or you want to test somebody out, right? Hey, do you have any admins? Because again, admin assistants would be perfect. You bring them in, you're on a temporary basis. If you like them, you hire them. If you don't, next, right? And then real estate school. Sometimes a good way for somebody coming in, new agent, they just get licensed. You bring them in as the admin, they help fill the position, get things going, figure it out. And as they go, you then can say they have that documented, and now they move to your buyer's agent, and now you hire a real admin or stick with the TC. And then the last part of it, again, is compensation, how you figure things out. So admin, basically that is going to be a salary position or hourly position, right? As you hire buyers agents, they're going to be commission. Gary states 50-50, right? So you don't want to give up more than 50-50. If you do, it could be a circumstance. If you're bringing somebody on your team, it could be somebody who is all of a sudden they work for XYZ brokerage. You've co-broked with a couple times. You want to bring them on your team because you're bringing value as a buyer's agent, or newer, they have some production. You may change it, right? In order to keep talent, but it's up to you. But as far as a buyer's agent, most of them, you want to try to stick to the 50-50 model. Same thing, paying some expenses. Usually the expenses you pay are usually more with the admin people. Bonuses. It's great to offer your admin or your TC or somebody on that sort bonuses. They suggest though it be yearly because, as you know, especially up here, our January and February are completely slow because nobody cares about the lakes. Let me tell you right now, I have more agents in and out depositing checks and escrows. Now that April's hit and into May is, and John can tell you, it starts picking up around here right now up in the Lakes region. So again, that if you paid a bonus in the summertime, but then wintertime comes around, you want to look to do that. There's a way you could offer some profit share if you really wanted to, retirement plans. So these are all things, again, if you guys were farther along and you already started teams or you wanted to do that, but definitely reference that as you grow. There's going to be things that you're going, especially with today's market, with unemployment being so low, as you want to add somebody, you want to speak to somebody inside your market center to talk about what kind of benefits you can add, right? Because it could be the fact that somebody can work remote 2 days a week, right? It could be, I know stereotyping, mothers or fathers hours, right? They're a stay-home parent most of the time because their kids go to school. Well, they could be available from 9 to 1, right? 9 to 1:30, 9 to 2. That could be prime, right? For you to fit in the business you need to do within that time. So it's all making the position attractive to be competing, because once you start adding people to admin, you're competing with the outside world, right? Because you are now taking from an outside business. When you're doing sales agents, again, I always tell people the only way you're going to get agents and get them to stay is you have to have value, right? I tried to bring on an indie and it failed because when he came to talking about some of the splits he would have to give his people, he couldn't explain his value that he gave to his agents, right? If you're going to start taking splits in order to get agents to come over and work on your team, you have to bring value. Just like I think if you guys were all individual agents were looking to join a team, why would you join a team? Well, leads can be okay, right? But if they're not super good leads, transaction coordinating, marketing, right? Signs, business cards. So yeah, I'm going to give up some money. I talk about 50% of a watermelon or 80% of a grape, but you have to bring value. So as you start growing your business, just even if it's a level 1 to an admin, you got to start thinking about what value your brand. It could be Mark Lesniak Real Estate, or it could be the Lesniak Realty Group. Whatever I choose to do, I need to start branding myself and keep that as you hire people for admin, buyers, any of that sort, right? You want to get that brand and you want to start using it in your marketing. You want to start doing any of that stuff because that's how it's going to get sticky as an individual agent. Because I always say people buy from the brand that they see, And as you market yourself, if every week it's something different, whether it's your admin, how are you going to teach an admin if every week it's a different Facebook ad, or every just listed is a completely different thing? You want to start having uniformity on everything you brand yourself, right? For a while, when I first came up here, there were some teams that every agent had a different business card. And I'd scratch my head. I'm like, I can't tell that they're all on the same team other than their logo, right? And then some teams, as I started talking to them about it, they're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And now they've all switched, right? Because they want everybody to look the same. So when you see in a section, this section has XYZ team, and this section has, ABC team, right? And you can tell they're part of that brand. So any questions on the organization model? Has anybody decided that it's too crazy or it's something that's beyond you? Because, we always talk about thinking big, right? But even if, like I said, even if we always stay a single agent, it's no different than a 7 level, right? It's all about going back to the budget model, keeping our expenses, our cost of sales down so that we can in turn get a 40% profit. So it's just all these models build upon each other, right? If we don't have leads, we can't then start adding people to leverage our time, right? If we don't have enough business, we cannot grow internally. So they all kind of roll together. Did anybody find this helpful? So I can put I'll put my email in the chat. Anybody has any, make sure it's right. Anybody has any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk to people. I love meeting with teams. I mean, I come from a sales background. My biggest joy of coming here is helping people build their business. And what I learned, especially I was at the leadership, mega leadership thing down in Texas last week. Listen to Gary Keller talking about stuff. Listen to Mark King. I got a big hug because we spell our name with a C. So that was quite impressive. Jason Abrams. But we all talked about is in Keller Williams, the model is I don't sell, right? My job is not to sell. My job is to what can I help you guys with? And I think that's the same all throughout New England is all of us in leadership are here to help you, right? The reason I came to Keller Williams was Nate and Jeff, the CEO and owner of the company, said, whatever I did, I was a vendor for them. And they're like, whatever you do, make sure it makes my agent's job easier, not harder. We work for them. So that being said is we're here for you guys, right? We're here no matter what market center we are. I talk to people across the country sometimes because sometimes it's better hearing from somebody outside than inside your market center. Oh yeah, they only don't. We all talk, right? Everybody on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the TLs throughout New England, we have a call from 10 to 10:30. We talk about ways to help you guys, right? Ways to keep you guys, things that we can bring like these classes to excite you, right? These things don't happen outside of New England. I was shocked. When I was down there sitting in a group of TLs, we talk about what do? We talk about, we run Ignite as a region. We run MREA as a region. These people like looking at us like, you guys do? Like, yeah, because it brings people together. So, so my hopes is you guys took something from this. My hopes is you realize that whether it's me or somebody in your market center, we're here for you. Reach out to us. I tell all whether it's a new agent or an agent that's been here for 20 years, we don't know you need help unless you raise your hand sometimes, right? Right. Because you're independent contractors. We think you're doing an okay job, but we're here for you, right? Reach out, ask us questions. There's never a bad question. And hopefully we can point you in the right direction. Because I tell everybody, I don't know all the answers, but I have a team of 20 people in my market center that I can go to, or if it's an agent, I have agents, you want to build a team, I have 5 teams that I could say, hey, talk to them. They did it wrong. They're now doing it right. Or they're in the process of correcting it after 5 years. So hopefully they're on the right track, right? Nobody's perfect, but the goal is, like I learned yesterday, is every time you do something, if you do so, you fail forward, right? You go up to the next step. So now you reevaluate. You're not at the first step, you're at the 4th step, right? So you try it, you go there and, oh wait, we're now in the 8th step reevaluating. At least we're at a higher level. So just keep looking. Like I said, keep looking to grow, whether it's a single agent or you want to get up higher. and I'll just put models and systems in place. And from there, you guys, the sky's the limit for you guys. So. Any questions? Well, if there's no questions, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and thank you for coming. And like I said, you have my email. So if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out. All right. Have a great
Thanks a lot,
weekend,
Mike.
John.
Appreciate it.
I'll see you on Tuesday, John.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
thanks.